Jacksonville.
Trevor fires from the back of the end zone, and that ball is going to be caught for the touchdown by Brian Thomas Jr. What a throw and catch. He tiptoed along the end line. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Fires deep downfield. Got a man. It's Brian Thomas Jr. 50 in the Colts territory. 35, 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown, Brian Thomas Jr. Just went 85 yards.
He's a playmaker. That's what stands out to me. It's just not one thing. We all know he's fast. You know, I can't really point to his releases. Can't really point to how he comes out of his routes. He just makes plays.
Looking, steps up, fires to the back of the end zone. Brian Thomas Jr. Did he double catch it? Yes, and touchdown. He bobbled it but hung on. Brian Thomas Jr. has a score, and Jacksonville is taking the lead.
Yeah, he's only going to get better once he masters his craft as far as his stance off the line and as far as come off the ball. You'll see in games to come, he'll get better, and even next year, he's going to be even that much better than he is right now. Right now, he's just getting his feet wet and showing us what he can do. So I'm looking for this guy to be a big-time playmaker for us in the years to come, and I'm glad to have him part of the Jaguars.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Hopefully it is for you out there as we march into March here on Jaguars Today. I'm Mike Dempsey along with Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark. Tony, thanks for holding down the fort while I was gone.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you very much.
How did it go on the golf course? I know you got
Went
back out.
poorly on the golf course.
It's good to get back out, though.
My
I'm
back
sure.
hurts, man. Yeah. I got all kinds of aches and pains that nobody wants to hear about at this stage of my life. But I played I played 10 holes yesterday and I hit 2 good shots. I mean, literally 2 good shots. Was not great, but you got to get back on the horse at some point. I had not touched a club. I figured that's almost 9 months since I'd picked up a club. Had some health issues last year, and I mean, I was, you know me, I'm like 5 to 6 days a week out at the driving range.
I know. Yeah.
Bro, when it goes, it goes. Like, I'm that guy. I need to constantly be in that groove to keep it going to whatever level I'm capable of reaching. But thanks for asking, because I know you knew the answer to it.
I did, yes.
So, you did.
I would have asked if it went well, too.
I appreciate that. It didn't. I was hoping. Guy yesterday we got paired up with, he goes, oh, man, I hope I don't make a hole-in-one today because I'm not playing very well. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No.
That's crazy.
Saves the day.
I mean, I had 2 hole-in-ones in my life, all right? You may have heard this, but one came during a 111 and the other came when I shot 79. And both were legit scores, and I cherished them both equally.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares? So anyway, that was that. Heard Dylan Denmark played some good golf this weekend. What's up, Dylan
Yes,
Denmark?
sir. What's up, homie?
How are you?
I'm good, man. It was a good day yesterday. It was a beautiful day yesterday. Few clouds in the sky. It was about, 65, 70 degrees.
It was nice. I will tell you that. I agree with that. Got a little chilly later in the afternoon. What time did you guys tee off yesterday?
1 o'clock.
Okay, we were 1:30, so, about the same time out there. It did get a little chilly in the later afternoon. Anyway, I took your advice. I don't even know if you remember what that advice was last week, Dylan. Do you recall what advice you gave me?
No idea what
you
advice I gave.
said when you see your son and he's home for spring break, drop a little on God on him, right? I do like to throw in a little bit of slang vernacular that the kids may be saying, even if it's 5 years old, right? Like, to me, that's cutting edge, Tone. So I'll drop that in on occasion, and I did that one, and I got the typical eye roll. He was there with his girlfriend, so he's nicer to me when the girlfriend's in town.
That's good.
By the way,
good time to do it.
Very, very much nicer when the girlfriend's around. Not that he's a great son, fantastic, but you know what I mean. I get less eye roll when she's around, and then I drop skibbity toilet on him, Dylan, and almost blew their freaking mind. All right, so
you lost me there.
Don't ask me to define it, but it felt like it was used properly in the flow of that. We were board gaming it on Saturday, like a good family will do. So anyway, that you're all caught up. All right, I was gone. I went to the J Fund on Thursday. Saw a bunch of great people. that I knew. Saw a bunch of great people that I met for the first time, which is always fun. Tony, our man Darren, who's always calling from the South Side, was there, one of our longest term listeners and callers, and a whole bunch of people. J Fund event is always fantastic, and it's always fun to have people come up. Somebody came up and told me that I've been killing it in the mock drafts. So I don't know. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. At least somebody's paying attention to what we're doing on these Wednesday shows.
Yeah, it's nice to hear.
Yeah, why not, right? Like somebody hit us up today and on Twitter or X, whatever you're calling it, and said, hey, why don't we be different and maybe draft some offensive linemen early? As if this isn't like, first of all, plenty of teams draft offensive linemen early. And maybe you're saying different than the way the Jags have done it in recent years. But, I mean, the Jags throughout their history have their share of early picks on the offensive line. It's not like they've shied away from it. You got to pick the right ones. And it was just funny the way it struck me like, oh, there's an idea nobody's thought of.
Yeah.
Why don't we build up the lines of scrimmage?
Yeah, it's only been 2 years since they spent a first-round pick on one.
Well, that, and, the whole talk of, with Baselli and Gladstone and Liam Cohen, there's been so much talk about, the lines, offensive and defensive line, and building these guys up. So, yeah, I don't disagree with that sentiment.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that they have been willing to publicly acknowledge that as a focus, right, going into the offseason. That's all good news, and for fans that have been clamoring for that to be a focus of the organization, I don't think it's ever not been, but it maybe hasn't been stated as clearly as it has been recently by the organization. And so, yeah, that's nothing bad about that.
Well, we saw that quote from Will Campbell from LSU that seemed tailor-made for the Jaguars this week, right? I mean, first of all, we had the whole, Cam Robinson. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a left tackle, right? Like, that's basically was the attitude. I get it. Like, you're trying to protect your own piece of turf and all that. But, Eric Armstead, who was pointing him in the direction of defensive end last year? Was it him? Was it Balky? Was it the coaching staff? And, depending on what day of the week it is, you'll get a different answer. But Will Campbell was asked about, first of all, the short arms don't. And look, let's be honest. There are only 5 starting tackles, I think, in the National Football League that have arms shorter than 33 inches, right? Which his are. And first of all, doesn't mean we're drafting him to play tackle, right? And as he said, his comment, I'm paraphrasing, like, whatever you want me to do.
Yeah.
I'll play right guard. He specifically said, I will play right guard if that's what you want me to do.
Yeah, the quote, if you told me I was going to start at right guard versus be a backup at left tackle, I'm going to tell you put me at right guard.
Yeah, I want to play.
I'll play anything I need to get on the field, but I feel like I can play tackle. I've been working on everything. I'm a versatile player. I can play wherever I need to play and do whatever I've got to do to get on the field. And my reaction to it, I put it out there on X over the weekend. I couldn't help but think about Armstead. Right when I saw the comment, I was like, what happened last year with that guy? I don't know how fair or unfair that is, as I pointed out. But I would love to see the team add a bunch of guys with that kind of mentality, at least. And I do think that speaks to whatever those intangibles are. That kind of comment is intangible, right? It's, what do I have to do to play? What do you need from me today?
Yeah, I want to play. I want to play now.
What do I have to do? Right? Like, that's all he wants to know. Where do you want me? I'll go. Yeah. Choose me, right? Like, he's to be that kind of guy. Yeah, I think I would love to see an offseason where they brought in a bunch of guys with that kind of clear mentality and see what the effect on the football team would be.
It's almost like you could call that an intangible, Tony.
Absolutely.
A character intangible. Then there's been so much talk about how the Jags are going to focus on that in the days ahead.
Absolutely.
Like, you should want guys that love the game and want to play, want to do anything they can. You'd love to hear like a quarterback prospect go, look, man, if they want me to cover kicks, that's what I'm going to do. I'm here to play football.
Even what Travis Hunter said last week when he was at the podium wasn't anti that, right? He was asked, do you want to be a corner or do you want to be a wide receiver? He says, I want to do both. And then when he was asked what happens when a team asks you to do one, he's like, that's up to them.
Right. Basically, or sort of like that's their problem.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those where he's not saying I won't do it. Like, if they ask me to do one or the other, it's not that I won't do it if that's the direction they want to go with it. I want to do both, right? Like, I want to be available for all these things. I don't think that is against that kind of mentality that we're talking about here. And he's a unique player. obviously.
Oh, sure.
We'll see where he winds up. I still don't think there's much of a chance that he'll be there at 5 for the Jaguars. But if he was, he's still the top of my list.
I don't know. There are a lot of different permutations of how this can go. We got John Shipley coming up from Jaguar Report over at SI, joining us here in about 25 minutes. And one thing that we'll talk about, he mentioned in his kind of Combine wrap-up podcast that he's hearing that New England is going to be keen to take Mason Graham, right, with the 4th pick of the draft. Maybe that's the case, right? Who knows? New England also is flush with an absurd amount of cap space, and they can sign a whole bunch of guys and fill in a bunch of holes. Ronnie Stanley is one guy they're rumored to maybe making a run at if he makes it to free agency, provided that he doesn't re-up with Baltimore in the meantime. But they've got a ton of cap space. They could fill a spot, and because they've also been connected with Will Campbell out of LSU a lot. And, obviously if they fill that hole with Ronnie Stanley, maybe that means an offensive lineman falls to the Jags that otherwise might not have. But I think there are a lot of different permutations in there and how these things go. I know you surely talked about it last Friday, but, Mason Graham weighing in about 30 pounds less than expected. And, people are, but Braden Fisk, he's a good match for Braden Fisk. Yeah, Braden Fisk went in the second round.
He did.
Right? You could take a chance on a guy in the second round if it doesn't fit all the things. And I'm not saying you have to be a slave to the measurables, but and I get it that Trent Baalke probably took it to an extreme, but don't think that teams don't have guidelines. And if you don't fit those guidelines, you've got to show something that makes up kind of that deficit. Maybe you're just an over-the-top energy motor guy, or you play with incredible leverage or whatever. Or maybe you're a freak like Aaron Donald, who doesn't matter really what your size is. You're still the best player at your position the moment you walk into the National Football League.
Sure.
But look, we don't know where anybody's going to go. But I know this. It's March on the draft's in April. So we're creeping ever closer to it. Got free agency just over a week away. And so our focus will start to shift in that direction. Today, I guess it's neither a free agent nor a draft pick conversation here because it was a trade that went down. Deebo Samuel goes to the Washington Commanders for a 5th-round pick. And you're like, oh, my gosh, a 5th-round pick. Well, it only happened for 1 year. It's got a $17.5 million cap hit this year. So the question we're asking you today, presented by Chad and Sandy Real Estate, should the Jaguars have been willing to give up more than a 5th-round pick that Washington gave up to trade for Deebo Samuel? And your options are, yes, Deebo's a stud. Yes, the Jags need help at wide receiver. So whichever you feel like yes, whichever one fits best. No, Deebo's fallen off, or no, that cap hit is too prohibitive at $17.4 million. What I find interesting is that the no's are destroying the yeses. Yet, I feel like, Tony, when the polls were going around, how would you feel about the Jaguars trading back to 12 with San Francisco and picking up Deebo Samuel, giving 5 to San Francisco and getting Deebo Samuel? That was close to like 50-50. And that's a second-round value. Now, all of a sudden, you wouldn't spend a 5th-rounder on him. I feel like there's a lot of opinion shifting going on with this particular subject.
Yes.
So, anyway, you can vote on that at MD_1010XL. Don't forget at 1010XL Fat Tony and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking Claws, baby.
Old school and good and reliable, just like we know it. Good old White Claw for you there. 641-1010 on the phone lines or the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. If you want to get in, talk any aspect of Jaguar football, your impressions of the Combine. As things wrapping up there in Indianapolis, John Shipley will be along here in about 20 minutes to discuss that and more coming your way on this Jaguars Today episode on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Tensions build.
3rd and 12. Let's go.
Plot thickens.
We got to get off the field.
Crowds roar. Tune in and let the show begin. Your home for live play-by-play is 1010XL.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 395-5598.
Florida homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contracting protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Spend $6,000 and get up to $600 off. $15,000 up to $2,000 off. $20,000 up to $3,000 off. This deal ends March 31st. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
Jaguars Today.
It's a Dream Finders Homes Monday.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass. He told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better. Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Staying alive one night of the Bee Gees, a tribute like you've never seen before. Experience the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist performed live March 6th at Jack Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
She's seen and heard all over 1010XL's video and social channels.
Whether the big cats are at the bank or on the road, I'm there too. Follow my updates all season long, on air and online.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic!
You're what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow, I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
Wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Looking for a great place to enjoy some craft creations and soak up some scenery? Fernandina's Mocama Beer Company is a must-see and must-try. Nassau County knows it. Visitors need to find out about it. Mocama means near the big water where the sun is born. And if you visit their tap room in Fernandina Beach, you'll see how they've mastered equal parts precision and art in creating great flavors from IPAs to Pilsners, lagers, and sours, plus plenty more. Mocama.com, Mocama Beer Company. Start an adventure and find them in Fernandina.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not looking at the rear-view mirror of unforgiveness. It's so easy to keep looking in the past when someone has hurt or offended us. What we don't realize that if we keep looking at the rear-view mirror of anger, it will cause us to miss out on the good things that God has in store right in front of us. Friends, looking in the rear-view mirror of the past will never give you peace in the present.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Hey, this is David with Royal Pest Services. The fact that we've been bundled up the past month gave us an idea. Let's bundle up also with our Centricon and Pest Control bundle, starting at $349. Visit RoyalPestServices.com for your free inspection.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, our man John Shipley joins in about 15 minutes here. Combine wrap-up day here on Jaguars Today. Looking back and quickly looking ahead, Tony, free agency. I mean, it'll be illegal tampering next week. We got the players next week. So, but that's overlapped before where free agency has opened up. And the players has been going on. So you and I, that's where our focus is going to be what else would you expect on this program? And yeah, we'll throw you a Scobie update, which is what we call a golf leaderboard, as we try to tie it in with the Jags. But other than that, baby, I'm all about free agency cranking up next week. Not going crazy. Let's fill a hole or two, right? I'm sure you have seen the report. Everyone saw the report at ESPN among the things they're hearing kind of thing. I think it was Jeremy Fowler said that Carlton Davis III out of Detroit, the Jags are going to gauge the market for him. And I think he was listed somewhere expected to get like the $10 to $14 million range, something like that. Look, I'm all for signing a veteran cornerback. You got to take at least one, maybe two spots off the table that you can go into the draft. That doesn't mean you can't draft another corner, but it means you don't feel like, oh my gosh, we got to find us a starter right now. If you sign Carlton Davis or any other veteran like that in free agency to a multi-year deal, it's going to be that guy, Tyson Campbell, and Jarian Jones as your top three corners.
Absolutely. And, Friday we asked, the question of the day was about what would you be willing to give up in a trade for Jair Alexander? Yes, right?
I voted.
Right. And it felt to me like the conversation there is at least, you're paying a premium, right, on the player. So are you willing to pay a little bit of a premium compared to, say, that $10 to $14 million for a Carlton Davis in free agency to get a player that has been at least considered an all-pro level player multiple times in his career? How do you feel about the injury stuff? Are you willing to pay a little bit more money and a late pick if that's the direction you want to go, and that be the corner that you add this offseason? I think that's an okay idea, right, going forward, and I'm pretty comfortable with it if they were going to make that kind of decision, because it would have to speak to they're comfortable with whatever the medical is on it.
Well, right, and Anthony Campanile, having been on that Green Bay staff, should have some insight, even though he didn't coach him directly. He should have some insight as to, Jair Alexander. Is he a guy who's willing to play through injury? Is it just, things that he couldn't overcome and all that? But he is considered by some, maybe when healthy, arguably the best corner in football, right? In that conversation, at least. So, I'd be willing to give up a late pick with the sign-off that they're happy on the medicals. I can't speak to his medicals. No. We don't know how healthy he's been. I know this. He's missed a lot of games, right? But the thing is, Jair Alexander hits the free agent market, then that number that he's going to make for the next couple of years could balloon even bigger than that.
16 and 18 is his base the next 2 years.
17 average. I could absolutely see him getting more than that if he can prove to be healthy on the free agent market. So in part, because it's been rumored maybe Green Bay would move on from him if they don't find a suitor, that you pay that price so you're not in a bidding war. That you
give up the pick to prevent the bidding war.
Yeah, to get that guy and to lock him in. And, is it worth doing that as opposed to – now, when I say doing that, it's what we're willing to give for him. There was that report this weekend that Green Bay is trying to come up with a way to maybe package their first-round pick and a receiver to get DK Metcalf and then replace some of that draft capital by maybe getting a first-round pick for Jair Alexander. That ain't happening, man. No. Not with the amount of games that he's missed. No. Not giving up a first-rounder. At least I'm not giving up a first-rounder for a guy who's been off-injured and he's going to be making $17 million a year, which is more than it. Obviously, the Jags are not giving up the fifth pick in a deal like that, but even like a pick in, let's say, 28, something like that, or 25, okay? Well, the contract of the guy who gets picked 25th is going to be smaller than 1 year of what you're going to pay Jair Alexander or DK Metcalf in this case. So anyway, I'm not on board with giving up extensive draft capital, but we'll see. I think we are, as we talked about last week, a little bit in a trust mode right now. You got a new regime, got to give them kind of the freedom to do things their own way, differently, react, and see what the results look like. Doesn't mean we can't disagree on some of the selections. But, Dylan, I'm hearing that the 10-10 take is rumored to be back today. So why don't we fire that bad boy up and talk a little Deebo Samuel.
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran-owned and operated.
All right, today's 10-10 take. We'll take a look at today's question of the day. Tone, should the Jaguars have been willing to give up more than the fifth-round pick that Washington did give up to trade for wide receiver Deebo Samuel? Look, I'm one of these guys when the talk of should you be comfortable moving from 5 to 12, picking up Deebo. It's like, hey, we're still going to have a really good pick. No, that's the value of going from 5 to 12 is too cost prohibitive. That's the value of a second-round pick. Deebo's on a 1-year deal now, make it 17.4. Again, somebody said compare his numbers to Christian Kirk. I think that's very fair. Christian Kirk has been off injured the last couple of years. Christian Kirk has not put up numbers like Deebo Samuel had, but the Jags at the time had to lure Christian Kirk here in free agency. And, oh, by the way, I don't think Christian Kirk's worth $24 million in terms of a cap hit to the Jaguars. Doesn't mean he won't play for that, but that is why the discussion surrounds him, that they either have to lower that cap number, maybe move on from him, and save $10 million in cap space. Deebo Samuel makes sense to me for Washington. This is a team that went to the NFC Championship game. They're losing 4 of their 6 receivers on the roster to free agency, including guys like De'Ami Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus, the guys who were all kind of vying to be the second guy behind Terry McLaurin. Deebo immediately slots in as the number 2. I do find it funny that who should be interested in Deebo? You see those kind of articles out there, right? Anyone who runs a Shanahan offense. How about Shanahan? Right? Didn't he run a Shanahan offense?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't that, like, if he's a perfect fit for a Shanahan offense and Shanahan's getting rid of him, what does that tell you? Tells me he's probably not worth $17.4 million. But in the case of Washington, who doesn't have that many playmakers, I mean, Zach Ertz, a free agent, maybe he'll be back, but he's like 36 years old, whatever he is. Tell them they've got a young quarterback on a rookie deal. Put a few pieces around him. You made it to the NFC Championship game. Can you take it a step or two further? That, to me, is let's see if we can push it across the finish line, and it's well worth the investment of a fifth-round pick. I don't think Deebo Samuel's the difference between the Jags, going to the Super Bowl or not, in my opinion, especially at that cost. And speaking of the cost, Washington still has over $64 million in cap space after the Deebo deal. The Jags are in the high 30s, so it's a different circumstance in terms of what was available.
Well, there's virtually nothing available in the free agent market, right? Except their own guys. Like, they may want to bring
Unless
back
Godwin makes it there.
like a couple of those. Like, there's just and who knows with Godwin. I expect Tampa's likely to get something figured out with Godwin before free agency opens, but we'll see exactly how that goes. We got another week before we find out some of the answers on that kind of thing. I think that Washington is looking at the players that are going to be available to them and saying, look, we got to give up a fifth-round pick to bring in a player of Deebo's caliber.
Even if it's for this year alone.
Fine. Right? Like, it makes sense, like you said, from a where Washington is right now, this moment in time perspective, it makes sense. They're willing to bite the bullet on the contract number. Okay, no big deal. 17, fine. Like, we're willing to do that for a year. Maybe we figure something out and keep them around for another year or two beyond that. Who knows?
Or maybe
exactly.
we don't.
Or maybe we don't. And if they don't, they don't. By the way, I'm looking at Deebo's career, right? He's got one 1,000-yard receiving season.
It was a 1,400-yarder.
It was. Yeah. He's got that same year. It's the only year he's been a Pro Bowler. He was a first-team All-Pro that year. I think the image we have of Deebo Samuel in our minds doesn't exactly match what's actually happened on field. It's not that he's not a great player, and he is the diversity of his talent and the way that you can use him, because you can put him in the backfield and hand him the ball 5-8 times a game.
Sure.
And he's fine with that. He's big enough. He can handle that kind of that pressure on his body. I don't know if he can still do it now, right? Like, he is going to be 29 this year. We talk about running backs around 30. They hit that age. Well,
Right.
he's been exposed plenty to this point in his career. I don't think he's broken down, but it does feel like he's breaking down to some degree with being that type of player in the National Football League. But for one more year, from a Washington standpoint, absolutely.
Look a little pudgy last year too,
He
but
did.
hey,
And he had the week where he was making all that noise, get me the ball, get me the ball, get me the ball.
and he had the huge drop.
Right. It was a walk-in touchdown.
Like game crush, 4th down.
Yeah.
Right. Would have been the first, probably a touchdown. And yeah, so I'm with you. Like it makes certain moves make sense for certain teams, and they don't necessarily make sense for others. I do believe the Jags are better than their record indicated, but I don't think they're at the same spot that Washington is able to, add, especially with that cap hit with what the Jags have. That's nearly half your cap space available right now for a guy who's, only on one more year of his contract. Yes, you could extend him, but at what cost? All right, so that's that for now. You can weigh in on that one on our question of the day poll over at Twitter at MD_1010XL. But when we return, John Shipley has returned from Indianapolis, and we'll talk all things Jaguars that he heard at the scouting combine and more. That's coming up on Jaguars Today here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Normally around this time I'd be telling you about how delicious Dandy sandwiches are, or asking where the heck my Dandy t-shirt is. But this week, I guess I'm going to pause on that because Dandy'd like to tell you about a great little golf tournament going on right here, right now on the First Coast. You had the opportunity to see LPGA Tour stars of tomorrow competing at Atlantic Beach Country Club March 6th through the 8th. It's the Epson Tours Atlantic Beach Classic. It's presented by Access Golf, and it's the second stop on the pathway to the top 15 ladies receiving LPGA Tour cards at the end of the season. So get out there and watch some golf. Support the ladies of tomorrow. The IQ Fiber Linkside Lounge, the best value around. An all-inclusive ticket with food, beer, wine, and spirits for only $75. Visit AtlanticBeachClassic.com. Enter promo code IQ to get this special rate. And, of course, as you're driving around listening to us, anytime you're hungry, Dandy's the way to go. So go out and make yours a Dandy. And do it today.
XL 1010.
Code invalid.
That's not good. Is that good?
What the hell did you do? I entered the ignition code, that's all.
Self-destruct sequence activated.
1010XL. Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Tired of drafty, noisy vinyl windows? It's time to say goodbye to vinyl. And hello to lasting comfort with Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors. Our exclusive Fiberx windows are 2 times stronger than vinyl, more energy efficient, and custom built to fit your home perfectly. No more warping, no more cracking, just beautiful, durable windows that stand the test of time. Right now, get special financing or save big with limited time discounts. Call Renewal by Anderson today and say bye-bye vinyl. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com. Don't wait. Upgrade today. License number CGC 1527613.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror, fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
Dreamfinders Homes, Monday.
On Jaguars Today.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family.
When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Welcome, John, our new admin lead.
Thanks.
You've got your laptop, all your admin apps. Oh, and you'll be in charge of ordering food for the team. So here's your drawer full of menus.
Whoa.
You'll keep your receipts in this file folder. Whoops, receipt confetti.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and all these sticky notes have everyone's dietary preferences.
Have you tried Easy Cater? Online ordering from great restaurants, tools to save time and stay on budget, digital receipts in one place.
We're gonna need a bigger recycling bin.
Easy Cater, the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. Order now at easycater.com.
Soccer continues to grow on the First Coast, and so does the need for better coverage. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley
On the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour, Tuesday nights at 6.
on 10:10 a.m.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
What's the major difference between a crocodile and an alligator? The answer next.
Lightning, storms, and hurricane winds can ruin recent home improvements. Let Southern Oak Insurance review your policy today. Visit us online at southernoakins.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
While an alligator will see you later, a crocodile will see you after a while.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right. He is back from Indianapolis. Safe travels have concluded, and John Shipley joins us from Jaguar Report, an offshoot of Sports Illustrated, covering your Jacksonville Jaguars here on Jaguars Today this morning. Ship, what's up? How are you?
Hey, doing good, my friends. How y'all doing? I'm happy to be back. That's most important.
Happy to have you back. All right. So we got a lot of things we want to jump into here. Listen to your pod, kind of wrapping up the combine, but kind of a multi-part question on Mason Graham here, okay? We've seen the measurables. The arm length is an idea, and I get it. We're not in the bulky era, but it still matters to some degree. Weighed in 30 pounds less than expected. Overall, how happy would you be for the Jags if they took him at 5? And secondly, what is the likelihood that he's available at 5, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a smart and logical pick at 5, because I think when you just look at the film and the production, I'm not sure how many players are better than him in this class. Now, that is partially a byproduct of this not being exactly a stacked class in terms of blue chip talents. I think it was Daniel Jeremiah who said he sees this as a starters draft, where you find a lot of good players, but are there many true game changers? That's the question to be had. So I think in this class specifically, them not being a team that obviously needs a quarterback, there probably aren't 5 better non-quarterbacks than him in the class. So, I think in the same vein that it's not a pick that they would absolutely have to make, because they do, like I've mentioned, they have Mason Smith inside, who really came on at the end of last year. I know it was a different regime that drafted him, but you also have Eric Armstead, who's going to play more inside this year. Devon Hamilton's still in the contract. You drafted Jordan Jefferson in the 4th round last year. they have some bodies at the position. So while I think it'd be a good pick, I also don't think it's a pick that, they absolutely have to make. And in that same, kind of area, I am less sold on him getting to number 5, honestly, leaving the combine than I was before I went to the combine. Obviously, a lot has to do with how many quarterbacks go early. After being at the combine, I really think the only quarterback that will go in the top 4 picks is Cam Ward. You didn't get the sense from talking to people, around the entire NFL that they expect Shedeur Sanders to be, a top pick unless a team gets incredibly desperate at the quarterback position. Like maybe the Giants just take a swing because the Browns take a guy like Cam Ward at 2, et cetera. And also in that same kind of thought, throughout the week, I heard over and over how many people expect the Patriots to be the team for Mason Graham. It really seems like, around the NFL that teams are kind of locking that in at number 4, that they think the Patriots, Mike Vrabel, are going to be all over Graham. They want another disruptor, inside on defense, and they do plan to address the offensive line. But is there an offensive tackle that, we're taking at number 4 in this year's class? Will Campbell obviously has the film, but it is a legitimate concern among the NFL, his length, his overall wingspan, some of the shortest recorded of any potential first-round tackle prospect. And we saw Mike Vrabel's team just a couple of years ago take a fantastic college left tackle and slide him inside the guard because of those same reasons. So I think a lot of people kind of doubt that New England will be in on Will Campbell at number 4, which to me makes me think that Mason Graham is the likely pick if he is there at number 4. And I, of course, expect him to be there.
For the sake of this question, let's assume Travis Hunter goes somewhere in the top 4 picks. Which player do you think that the team would most want to still have available to them at 5 among the kind of usual suspects being talked about there in the top 5? Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Will Campbell. Who do you think would be the apple of the Jaguars' eye?
Yeah, I think among those guys, I think, I'd put Mason Graham and Will Campbell probably 1A and 1B. And this isn't me saying, I've heard the Jaguars absolutely in love with Will Campbell, et cetera, things like that. But I do think that Will Campbell right now is kind of projecting to a lot of teams more as a guard. And the Jaguars, of course, have a bigger guard issue than they have a tackle issue. And we heard James Gladstone kind of speak on the importance of rebuilding the interior offensive line moving forward. So maybe it wouldn't be a giant, shock in terms of value for a team like the Jaguars to take a guard at number 5, because it's very clear that, their leader of the scouting department wants to make that a priority for Trevor Lawrence.
We've talked a lot about them improving the interior of the offensive line, but what if they fall in love with a tackle, right? And do you think they didn't sign Walker Little to that extension? At least this front office didn't, right? So do you think that the value of that position being as great as it is, that they're just going to let it roll with what they've got? Or if they think that, whether it's Campbell or any other guy that may be rising in people's minds right now, if they fall in love with one, do you think they could surprise us?
I'll tell you what, I didn't put a lot of thought into could they potentially take a tackle at 5. And then yesterday, you see the Missouri offensive tackle just run a completely monstrous, 40-yard dash and have a great day. And some of the best athletes in this entire draft class are offensive linemen, offensive tackles. It's a really good offensive line draft. So, like you said, this team, these decision makers didn't extend Walker Little. They didn't draft Anton Harrison. You could have a lot worse problems than having 3 quality offensive tackles heading into the season, especially if you're Liam Cohen and can potentially play one of these guys at guard.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they take a guy who projects more as a tackle, but they play him at guard early on before he eventually takes over, at tackle. Anton Harrison, of course, they'll have a decision to make on his 5th-year option, next season. Walker Little's contract, it's a 3-year extension. It's not exactly a super binding long-term deal. So I could see them taking a guy who they see as their tackle of the future, but playing him inside for the first perhaps year or 2 of his career and kind of solidifying that offensive line.
What was the buzz around the Jaguars at the Combine?
Yeah, a lot of people think that they're going to go with the trench pick. I think that most people don't expect Travis Hunter to be there. But, a lot of people think that with where Liam Cohen's coming from, with how the Los Angeles Rams have hit home runs on trench picks in the last couple of years, not just Jared Verse, but also Braden Fisk, Steve Avila on the offensive line, Alaric Jackson just signed a big deal. Several other guys they have, Kobe Turner, who have been, Byron Young, really effective picks, on the offensive and defensive lines. And a lot of people think the Bazzelli factor, will play a big role there. That, hey, it's a Pro Football Hall of Fame offensive lineman. He's probably going to want to focus on the trenches first and foremost. And we know that's an area the Jaguars have needed. So I think a lot of people expect them to pick an offensive and defensive lineman. Some of the other things I picked up, and, some of this will be on the podcast, be in the articles, but a lot of people in the NFL also are kind of expecting them to be one of those teams that are really in the running for Javon Holland in free agency. Whether that means they're able to get a deal remains to be seen, but I do think that the NFL as a whole largely expects the Jaguars to have interest. Anthony Campanile was obviously with Holland for a few years, and as for the safeties on the roster, Andre Cisco, pending free agent, I know it's kind of been split among fans on whether they should bring him back or not, but it really did not seem like an Indy that's going to happen. I think the expectation is that he will play for a new team next year, which of course would open up, that hole at safety to go after a guy like Holland. And then the last one was, I know there was some buzz, some reports that the Green Bay Packers might ask for a high pick for Jair Alexander. It really seems like talking to people that, you could probably get him for a day 3 pick. Now, whether that means as early as a round 4 pick or as late as a round 6 pick kind of remains to be seen. But it seems like the Packers know that he'd be a tough guy to trade and that you definitely won't have to give up the farm to get him just because of, obviously some of the injury issues that he's had the last couple of years.
Right. I also saw the report, I think it was Jeremy Fowler said that the Jags expected at least gauge the market for Carlton Davis III from Detroit, former Buccaneer second-round draft pick. It does seem logical to me because it feels like corner is one of the stronger free agent positions out there, that they try to find a veteran that they can consider a starting caliber guy right away, and then maybe use some of that draft capital to continue to pound the trenches, because it just seems like that's the best use of the resources you have this offseason. How many starters do you think they'll land in free agency?
I think probably 2 to 3. You would think a cornerback, you would think a safety. You have to think they consider, somebody on the offensive line. They definitely did a lot of homework on wide receivers, this week at the Combine. A lot of receivers I spoke with said that they had met with them or were planning to. So maybe, depending on what moves they make at wide receiver with Christian Kirk and even at tight end with Evan Ingram, maybe they look for like a lower end, cheap starting receiver. But I'd say 2 or 3 makes sense.
I think Doug Peterson is a really good football guy. I don't think he's a motivational guy necessarily in the locker room. The attitude of the guys in the room is what's going to carry that group, and I think to a large degree that's why he's no longer the head coach here in Jacksonville. How much better a motivator in that kind of regard do you think Liam Cohen is or isn't likely to be for the team?
No, I definitely think that, just in terms of energy, positivity, that Cohen will be somebody who can, kind of light that fire under some players. I really, my time with Doug Peterson, I never heard any players trash him or anything like that. It was obvious the locker room respected him, but he also had, kind of the even-keeled personality that, you can kind of see that, it's maybe more asking the players to light the fire for themselves than maybe, potentially him. And I think Cohen, just with the way he reacts, the way his personality is, I think that alone, that energy will get people going in the right direction.
John Shipley here with us for a couple more moments from Jaguar Report. Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, a lot of speculation about their futures with the franchise. Where do you stand on them at the moment?
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense to bring Christian Kirk back, especially if you can restructure a deal. It's one less spot in the offense that you have to fill. It's somebody who Trevor Lawrence, you assume, can get automatic production with in Liam Cohen's scheme just because of their relationship on the field, their consistency together. And, of course, I think their relationship off the field, honestly, even plays a factor. And I think James Gladstone even kind of conceded that. As for Evan Ingram, I think it's another one where it's tough to make the argument that you're making the team better by moving on from him. But I do think that they have to answer some questions, especially with how deep of tight end this class is, that what they want their tight end position to look like moving forward. Because obviously, they're high on Britton Strange, but you need somebody else who can be a more reliable down-to-down pass catcher. But do you want that to be kind of a jumbo slot like Evan Ingram, or do you want a guy who's more of a balanced kind of wide tight end?
Between last weekend and Tuesday, you had a couple of opportunities to hear from James Gladstone now as the GM for the football team. What is your big reaction takeaway from your first couple opportunities to talk to him?
Yeah, he's a very measured guy. He obviously, puts a lot of thought into how he's going to attack this. I think the biggest thing that he said was, and he noted that he's not going to overhaul everything, their scouting process right away, because that would cause much more change, much more, frankly, chaos than it would if he's just going to kind of overhaul himself, kind of get on board with the way the Jaguars have been scouting this draft class for the last couple of years, like Ethan Waugh and his staff have been doing for the last couple of months while coaching search is going on, and then start to overhaul the Jaguars process more so after this class. I thought that was the biggest thing that I came away with.
All right. John Shipley, go check out his work over at SI.com. Jaguar Report got a fresh pod up there. Got more to come. Stories in Scuttlebutt that he heard in Indianapolis. And, of course, you can follow Ship on the X or Twitter platform at _John_Shipley, and a not infrequent guest on Jaguars Today. John, we appreciate it. Glad you're back in town, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Appreciate it, fellas.
All right, buddy. There he goes. John Shipley out the door with some good stuff. Do you want to react to that? 641-1010. Tony, when we come back, let's talk about a red flag or two that we may have noticed at the scouting combine from guys that the Jags may be interested in, and what might be the ideal scenario at pick number 5. Which combination of players available would give the Jags the best chance to capitalize on value? We'll talk about that and more when we come back. Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark, Mike Dempsey here with you on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Here's another classic Florida Gator moment.
The winner of this year's Heisman Trophy is Tim Tebow.
I'd like to thank my teammates. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here, and I'm accepting this trophy on behalf of them.
1010XL, home of the Florida Gators.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WonderWorld wants you to do. WonderWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WonderWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WonderWorld can.
And with WonderWorld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new WonderWorld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, WonderWorld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with WonderWorld, and to top it off, WonderWorld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with WonderWorld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call WindowWorld today and get your free in-home estimate, or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
WindowWorld, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
For the greenest, luscious lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD.
Need a fast casual option that's healthy, fresh, and delicious? Choose the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill. Gyros, salads, hummus, and more made completely fresh right as you order. Off 210 and St. John's Parkway. The Great Greek Mediterranean Grill.
Jaguars Today Monday is built by Dream Finders Homes.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts, sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help
Take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS, consumeraccess.org.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town, setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at cordellcordell.com.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. If you have a school, team, or group that would benefit from a team store, you're in luck because we now offer team stores. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Spring and summer registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. I-9 Sports with fields and gyms all over 3 counties. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find a sport to play. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Riddle Wellness. The Orlando Magic's late comeback effort fell short in a loss to the Toronto Raptors last night, 104-102. The Magic had a hard time protecting the paint as the Raptors outscored them by 20 points there, as well as getting 12 offensive rebounds that led to 18 of their points. Head coach Jamal Mosley spoke postgame on what led to the loss and what is needed when they play them again tomorrow.
A lot of it was, playing that way, for the entire 48. The way, that sense of urgency that we came out down that stretch. But again, we played these guys in 2 days, so a lot of the message was just watch it tomorrow, see what adjustments need to be made to make sure we come out on the other end of it next time we play them.
The Magic take on the Toronto Raptors for the second time tomorrow night in Orlando. Tip-off at 7. Catch the game live at 10:10 a.m. It's 63 degrees at 10:58. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, hour 2 upon us here. Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark with you. Free agency now will be where we start to shift our attention as that will officially open up next week. Combine recap going on today. Tony, you just mentioned to me on the break, the Bengals just announced that they're releasing guard Alex Kappa.
Yep.
Which, is a reminder that most of the guys who make it to free agency are guys that somebody else is giving up on for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Now, Kappa may be one of the better guards that's available, but it's not supposed to be a great guard market out there. He was only going to make $7 million this year. Now I understand where Cincinnati's at. They got to get Jamar Chase done.
Right.
They want to re-sign T. Higgins and get Hendrickson a new deal. So I get it. They're trying to create some cap space, but $7 million for a good guard, if he's a good guard, is not cost prohibitive at all.
No.
And they don't think, again, in combination with everything going on, that it's worth paying Alex Kappa $7 million this year.
We did our top 5, about 5-6 weeks ago,
something like that,
where we were talking about the trade targets.
Trade targets, yes.
Right, like across the league, and I think I had Kappa like in the guard spot at number 5 on the list. It was the name I listed, but it was if there are guards available to trade for, this is kind of where I'd rank it on the list, kind of thing. Was at 5, and Kappa was the name that I listed. And for all those reasons, Cincinnati's looking at it. This is before they made it clear that T. Higgins isn't going anywhere, right? They're going to franchise tag him if they have to keep him there, or they're going to figure out a long-term deal, like one or the other, but they're not letting the guy hit free agency. And so that wasn't so clear 5-6 weeks ago. It is now that that's the direction they're going with it. With that in mind, would they be willing to move a guard like Alex Kappa, given that it is $7 million for a guard, right? Would they be willing to say, you know what, we'll find something else to do?
Right.
With that money, we'll save that. We'll put that towards
maybe you draft a rookie who's making a, league minimum.
Right. And it speaks to a couple things. One, what Cincinnati has going on right now with trying to figure out all the money for all the guys that they want to be 100% sure they keep. Right, they are committed to keeping these guys. And it also speaks to what we just talked about with Ship, where he mentioned there's a lot of depth in this draft class, especially on the interior of the offensive line. Like, it's the looking at, well, I can pay $7 million for Alex Kappa, or I can draft a guy that may not be Kappa, but he's good enough to play, for the football team, and it'll be way cheaper than that for us. It's where is your team at right now trying to figure these different things out. Jacksonville doesn't have to figure out, we have to pay X to X on our roster right now. We got to figure out how to extend this guy, keep this guy, hold on to this guy. They're not dealing with a lot of that. They're dealing with, what do we have to add to make us competitive at the level we need to be competitive at, which makes paying $7 million for a guard not a big deal to me.
No.
In my mind.
If you value and like him,
right.
He's a little weird. Like, he's listed as either 6'6" or 6'7",
yeah,
and 305, 310. That's like a tackle, and maybe even a little bit light when you consider he's 6'7". It's just a weird body type for a guard, I think. But that doesn't mean obviously he's been very durable. He's played a lot. Doesn't mean he couldn't be an option for the Jaguars out there. I'm not saying that. I do. It's always interesting. Again, going back to the Deebo thing. Oh, it'd be great in a Shanahan-style offense. Except for Kyle Shanahan, apparently, right? So
he was great in a Shanahan
at one point,
offense,
right? At one point, he was, and now Shanahan feels like it's time to move on. John Shipley mentioned the Missouri tackle Armand Membo. Is the guy who's gotten a lot of buzz for his athleticism, ran a great 40, and I like we always do this. It's not that, I want my offensive lineman to race somebody, okay? But it is somewhat a measure of athleticism to go with all the other testing, right? He did measure in at 6'3". It's not great for a tackle, right? But 325. This is what Ryan Wilson wrote about him. It projected him 12th to Dallas. Armand Membo just 6'3", and I do not care. This is Wilson talking. In fact, I asked Texas A&M pass rusher Nick Scourton about one of his toughest matchups. He brought up Membo. When I asked him if you could tell he was 6'3", he couldn't, and that's the point. He was one of the most reliable right tackles in college football, and while he doesn't have ideal size based on his tape alone, he's a guy who you put at right tackle until he proves he can't handle it. Worst case, you have a perennial Pro Bowl guard for the next decade. Would you be willing to draft a perennial Pro Bowl guard at number 5? I would, if I thought he was going to be a perennial Pro Bowl guy. But I think what this does is you have to start thinking about the range of players if you're willing to trade back, if you're the Jaguars at 5 and accumulate a little bit more draft capital. I honestly think unless like an Abdul Carter is sitting there, in which case they may just take him themselves, and it doesn't seem like he'd make it to 5 anyway, or Travis Hunter maybe, and he is unlikely to be there. So let's take them both off the board. They're both gone.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Ward goes 1 to Tennessee, 3 to the Giants, 2 to the Browns, whatever. He's gone as well. I still think the most likely trade scenario is if Shedeur Sanders is sitting there at 5.
Yeah.
That, yes, maybe there's some separation between he and Ward, but
it's the log jam at 6 and 7 if they both want quarterbacks.
Right. And if you're the Raiders, why would I trade up? I have the next pick. I know the Jags are not going to take him. You don't take him. You don't trade up thinking the Jags are going to take him. You take him thinking you're going to get jumped by the Jets.
Yeah.
And you try to play those two off of each other. I mean, to me, Tone, if I'm sitting there, let's say it goes Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and let's say Mason Graham is off the board, okay, as John Shipley is hearing the buzz that New England's interested in it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. Do I take the best offensive lineman, the guy I like the most? Possibly. Do I roll the dice and go back 2 spots? Let's say, the Jets are coming up for a quarterback in that scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Sanders goes, even if the Raiders were to take your preferred offensive lineman there, is it what makes it worth that move back to 7? I honestly think the Jags are going to end up picking at 5.
I do too.
Because I think you're hearing enough of this buzz about there's a big gulf between Ward and Sanders. Whether that's true or not, whether somebody's trying to get Sanders to fall to him, maybe he goes immediately to the Raiders. You're also hearing about Jackson Dart, right? And you're starting to hear about Quinn Ewers, maybe a late first-round consideration. So does that mean one of these teams may be picking in the top 10, says maybe I can get him at the top of the second round, or I can trade back in to the end of the first round, still get a premium top 10 player here. I think in the end, there's not going to be much on the table for the Jags. But this guy, Armand Membo, would be one of the type of players, Tyler Booker, another one, that generally is not projected to be worth the 5th pick. I mean, you start to get the 5th pick versus the 9th pick. I mean, how much? Just make the right pick, right? And if you take that guy at 5, you say, well, I might have been able to get something at 9. Well, as long as he pays off and gives you what you expected or what you desired out of him, I don't think there's that much difference, particularly in this year's draft, if those players that we discussed are off the board at 5.
Like, I'm trying to think through in my own mind, is there a player that would be available at 5 that if the Jags traded down to somewhere in that 9-10 range, it would bother me that they would bypass the opportunity to draft that player at 5 and just stick and pick? And I don't think there is.
Well, Mason Graham would be one that would likely not make it to you.
Right. Like, I'd be okay with whatever you would get back in the trade to bypass that opportunity. Like, it wouldn't bother me all that much. I think Hunter would bother me. Like, if he was still there at 5, he's such a special potential player that would be like, well, you're obviously not getting a unicorn at 10, right? Like, that's not going to happen. So it would bother me a little bit with him. And I don't think it would with anybody else. With even Mason Graham, as much as I've talked about how comfortable I am with him being the pick at 5, and I am. I'm very comfortable with that being the name that's coming off the board at 5. And in a lot of mock drafts, it's hard for me to go. I have to tell myself every now and then, it's like, you've done the Graham thing enough. Let's see what it looks like when you don't do the Graham thing, right? In this next mock draft, I'm very comfortable with that being the pick at 5. But if they were to trade down to 10 with Graham on the board at 5, I wouldn't be like, they blew it. That wouldn't be my reaction to that at all. I'd be like, okay. Because I don't think the gap is all that big between anybody that's going to be available to him at 5 and whatever they'd be getting at 10 or 11 in the draft. I think Graham is likely a better player than whoever they're going to be getting at 10. I don't deny that. I think that he's likely a better player, but it wouldn't bother me.
What would it take, though, for to make it worth your while? Considering the Jags already have 2/3, 2/4 this year. They have extra draft capital, right? So, I'm not moving back for a 4th-round pick necessarily, right? So, if it's hey, I get your 2nd and we send you a 5th to move back to 9, all right, then you're getting another, and that's the thing. I was about to say premium player, but this is not a premium player draft, like you said, but can you get another solid starter? Can you turn that one pick into maybe an above-average starter into two slightly better than average starters? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to recognize that there has to be some fall-off. Like, you're going to like a guy at 5 better than the guy you could get at 9, unless that guy happens to fall to you, right? So you're going to have a board. And at some point, somebody's going to take your 5th guy, your 6th guy, your 7th guy. Maybe not those teams in between 5 and 9. And we're just using 9 as an example. I'm with you. Like, I'm not afraid of the trade back, particularly if they go for an interior offensive lineman. I think there are going to be a bunch right around that 10th pick that seem like a reasonable value if you go that direction. Yeah. As long as you get a little worthwhile payoff on top of it. I just don't know who in that range, even with Ashton Genty, okay, he was clearly the best running back. Well, Marion Hampton had a pretty damn good combine for himself. And plus, you can just pass that position in the first round, get one in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and probably get an effective player at that spot as well. So I don't know who the target would be. Maybe it would be Mason Graham that would draw if you, again, consider Carter and Hunter are absolutely going to be off the board. And we don't know that for 100% certainty, but it certainly seems like it's leaning in that direction. I think Sanders, if the Jags trade back, somebody's coming up for Shedeur Sanders, or they're probably not getting the market that they're going to hope for.
I would assume they're not. Yeah.
At that spot. All right. When we come back, mention those red flags. One in particular we want to discuss with a guy that we have discussed as a consideration, at least, for Jacksonville at the 5th spot, if they stick and pick right there, and would be, for a lot of people, a great target if they were to trade back 2 to 5 spots or whatever that range would be. So we'll get into that when we come back. If you want to get in, talk a little Jaguar football, you know the ways to do it. 641-1010 primarily, as we're rolling here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. That's right, over 10 years in the business, helping people drop all the unnecessary weight. Just look at what happened here at 1010XL. Hacker's up to like 120 pounds. I can't keep up with the guy. He's lost so much weight. Looks fantastic. Matt Hayes dropped his 40. I dropped 25. Everybody I know personally who's tried Awaken 180 has had tremendous success. Lose a bunch of weight that first week, and then you're going to settle in at about 4 to 5 pounds a week after that. And you don't need any kind of medications. There are no injections, no rigorous exercise program. You're going to eat to lose weight, turn your body into a fat-burning machine. And Awaken 180 has helped perfect their program over a decade now in the business as a leader in the weight loss industry. Over 23,000 clients losing a combined 750,000 pounds. You could be next. All you have to do, go to awaken180weightloss.com and schedule your free consultation. Don't just lose the weight. Keep it off with Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Just remember, guys, when you put on that 1010XL jersey, the name on the front is a lot more important than the name on the back.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Enhance your home with Renewal by Anderson's exclusive 31-day spring event. Experience superior craftsmanship and timeless design with buy one, get one 40% off custom replacement windows and patio doors. Enjoy the ease of zero down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires March 31st. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Dream Finders Homes Monday on Jaguars Today.
Looking for adventure? Need a machine that works as hard as you do? CF Moto has you covered. At Ride Now Beach Boulevard, we've got CF Moto ATVs and UTVs built for any task, any trail, anytime. Tear up the dirt with the trail-tested C-Force ATV lineup or conquer through terrain with a Z-Force UTV. Find your CF Moto ride today at Ride Now Beach Boulevard or visit ridenowbeachboulevard.com. ATVs and UTVs are for riders 16 and older. They can be hazardous to operate. CF Moto recommends an improved safety training course.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
Welcome, John, our new admin lead.
Thanks.
You've got your laptop, all your admin apps. Oh, and you'll be in charge of ordering food for the team. So here's your drawer full of menus.
Whoa.
You'll keep your receipts in this file folder. Whoops, receipt confetti.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and all these sticky notes have everyone's dietary preferences.
Have you tried Easy Cater? Online ordering from great restaurants, tools to save time and stay on budget, digital receipts in one place.
We're gonna need a bigger recycling bin.
EasyCater, the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. Order now at easycater.com.
Get to know positions and players. The 1010XL Ultimate Draft Guide is brought to you by Blue Haven Pools, the #1 pool builder in Jacksonville. Follow rankings and roundtables as the draft takes shape. Go to 1010XL.com/2025 draft guide to get yours.
Mia here. You want to know what I'm so over? Resolutions. You want to know what I am into? The revolution hitting the road in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. So what do you say? Join the Arlington Toyota revolution and save big with financing as low as 0% on select new models. Or get up to $8,500 off select new Toyotas. Plus, every new Toyota purchase from Arlington Toyota comes with Arlington's lifetime warranty and 60-day exchange. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295 or at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/0% for full details.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror? Fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capsule, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
If you never saw Zeppelin live, now you can know what it's like. And if you did, relive the magic of Led Zeppelin live. Get the Let Out is back at Florida Theater March 12th. Get the Let Out. Find out what it felt like to see Zeppelin live. Get tickets now at floridatheater.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Tone, just a reminder, tomorrow, kind of playing off what we did last week, our Tuesday top 5 is going to be top 5 offensive building blocks currently on the Jaguars roster, right? So that's it. You know, you can define who they are to your own satisfaction, put them in the order that you think they're most important, rank them 1 through 5. If you do that, it's number 1 is the one guy you cannot do without. And for most, I think that'll be Trevor Lawrence. Not for everybody. We understand there's some Trevor skeptics and detractors and what have you out there. I'm not even going to say haters, and that's fine. But that's tomorrow. Then, of course, we'll do another mock draft Wednesday coming up. Somebody sent this one in on the text line a few moments ago. Perfect trade down and result. They sent a mock draft in that they did at Pro Football Network. I'm not going to get into all the particulars other than the trade down. Sign me up for this right now, but it's never going to happen. Okay? In this deal, the Jags got offered pick 23, 54, and 87 from Green Bay. That's their first, second, and third rounder, and their second and third next year. Ain't happening. You can't tell me that the difference between Mason Graham and the defensive tackle I could get at 23 is worth 2 seconds and 2/3. Not believing it.
Yeah.
Right? I'd do that deal in a second, but I'm trying to move off this Godfather deal. I just don't see Who's the player that Green Bay is going to have to come up and give their first 3-round picks and their 2 of their top 3 next year?
Yeah.
To have that guy?
Yeah.
Come on. It's not, they're not coming up for a quarterback, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
As we were discussing during the break, if the draft looks the way that it does to us, where we're saying, yeah, I'd be willing to move down to 9 or 10, I don't think you're dropping off all that much, right? From 5 to 9 or 10. The player that you're getting isn't it. I feel better about Mason Graham than anybody else, but it's not like I'm like, oh, we missed out on, right? So you expect somebody else in the league to be, we have to have X. It's just very unlikely. If you're so open to trading back because you feel like the value doesn't drop all that much, well, the value doesn't drop all that much, so why would you be desperate
give you
to move?
5 premium picks?
Yeah.
For the 5th? And I get it. Look, you get offered that. It's very tempting. You take it. And
I would love it.
So I'm not knocking you, man. It's just, I wish. I would sign up for that. If you gave me, you take that 2026 third rounder back, I'll still do it. I might. I don't know. I don't know if I'd do it for just the 3 picks this year, but I probably would, to be honest. In the end, now I don't know how that matches up on the chart or whatever chart they're using these days. But when you consider that the story was this weekend that Green Bay might package Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Doubs with their first rounder to get DK Metcalf. Okay, so if Dontavian Wicks was in the draft right now, was he going 54th? Let's say he would. Okay, so they'd give up 23 and 54, or the equivalent, to get DK Metcalf. You telling me they're coming up to get Tet McMillan at 5 when they could sit there at 23 and take Emeka Ibuka? Or
like, at least looking at the chart that I've been using, who knows how close it is to actually what gets used. But I think even with the first, second, and third round picks from Green Bay this year, to move up to where Jacksonville is, they're still about 900 points short.
Which may be why you've got to pile all this in there. I just, again, you couldn't hit accept fast enough on that.
Yeah.
And for my taste, but again, why? I would have loved to have seen the full and who Green Bay was making that move for in that scenario, because I just don't think anybody would make that kind of move like that. Somebody said if Hunter or Shador is there at 5, I could see Jerry trying to come up. Jerry Jones just gave $60 million to Dak Prescott. Coming up for Shador? I don't sit now.
Yeah, Deion
Travis Hunter,
get the head coaching job.
Exactly. Like yes, if Deion was the head coach, yes. Anyway, I
do think like that is, if Hunter is there at 5, someone could get antsy.
Sure.
Right? Like, that's the kind of caliber player where there's nobody else like him. Like, that is a one of one. That is what Travis Hunter feels like in this draft.
Could you see Green Bay giving up 1, 2, 3, and 2 and 3 next year for Travis Hunter?
No. I don't see them being willing to make that big of a move.
No. I could see them packaging some, like that. DK Metcalf's a proven commodity to some degree. I'm not saying Travis Hunter may be better eventually, right? I mean, but
it takes that kind of scenario in the draft for any of this to be coming into play. The overwhelming likelihood is Hunter comes off the board somewhere in the first 4 picks, right? Like, that's the likelihood. So if you're thinking about the players that are likely to be available at 5, if it's not one of the quarterbacks, that's somebody there in that 6-7 range, is like, we got to make the move now to make sure the other guy doesn't make the move, right? The exact scenario we were just discussing in the last segment. I think that is the Jaguars can move kind of scenario in this draft. And if that's not how it plays out, I don't think they're moving. I think they're picking at 5.
Yeah, I think the best the board could look for a trade back scenario has to be one of the top 2 quarterbacks sitting there. But I guess you can come up with a scenario where, okay, 2 quarterbacks go, and only one of Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter comes off the board with those other 2 picks, and that somebody covets that guy, the one that fell, that much. Again, I think in the end, we're going to talk a lot about it in the weeks ahead, because
we got a little bit of time here. Yeah.
But I think, at that pick, I think the likely scenario is that they end up staying there, but, love to add more capital. All right, we'll get to Combine Red Flags here in a moment. Regina is checking in at 641-1010. Good morning, Regina.
Good morning, guys. And
What's
Mike,
up?
for you not to be sore, you need to start cross-training.
Well, I need to not take 9 months off.
There you go. Well, then you can't just jump into it. Trust me. But anyway, There, talk about Will Campbell. My vote is for him. I mean, Jaguars are blowing everything else up, so skip the measurables. I watched an interview with him. He seemed very, very mature, and the way he spoke. You've mentioned him already on the show this morning. I can't believe he only turned 21 in January. So my question is, where do you think he'll fall in the draft? And, in terms of Jaguars' need. And I'll take your comments off the air.
All right.
And good luck. Good luck with your soreness.
I'll be all right, Regina. Don't worry about me. I appreciate you very much. Look, I mean, he fits perfect. If you envision him maybe early in his career playing guard with the ability to compete at tackle and maybe slide out there after a couple of years, he's young. I think he fits perfectly with their needs as presently constituted.
Yeah.
Thing is, Jags have a lot of needs. Will Johnson fits perfectly with their needs, the corner out of Michigan, because they currently don't have a second outside corner, right? That you can count on. But, these things, some of these things are going to change over time. I have no issue, Tony, if that's the direction that they go with Will Campbell. I've seen him mock to New England plenty of times. All this mocking with New England, they're the team that you can pretty much just throw these mock drafts out the window on. With over $100 million in cap space, they're going to fill many positions, starting positions, right? And so they may just go in there pure best player available, or may have it narrowed down to one spot, and maybe it becomes Mason Graham. Maybe they answer, like there's been talk, Ronnie Stanley, saw a piece at PFT, could be a target of theirs, the Baltimore left tackle. If you get him, maybe you're not drafting Will Campbell, and on and on. So all this ripple effect. But, look, I'm not going to have any issue if they go offensive line because, again, new set of eyes on it, right? We got to trust the Gladstone, Cohen, Baselli, whatever order you want to list the names, triumvirate of putting together your board, and it's not Trent Baalke making the pick, right? So if they pick an offensive lineman, even if it's not Will Campbell, maybe they take Kelvin Banks, maybe they take Armand Membo, maybe they take Tyler Booker. I'm willing to, we don't have to, but I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that their scouting process is going to be a better one than we've had in recent years.
Yeah, absolutely. And not all drafts are built the same. Like, yes, typically I'm not all that comfortable with any team drafting a player to play guard for them in the top 5. Right? Like, that's not generally how the NFL draft works. There aren't generally prospects at that position where you're going, you got to have this guy first ballot Hall of Fame. That's the kind of player that if they're going to be considered to be drafted in the top 5 playing that position, that's what they have to be. Right? That's
perennial Pro Bowler.
Like, historically, that's how that's been viewed because of the draft value. They're in the top 5. This year's a little bit different. There's not a whole lot of guys that everyone is clamoring to go get. They're just not there.
The other one thing, though, to that is let's say, all right, I'm open to drafting a guard at 5. There are, as we've gone through this process, it is a pretty good position, right?
It's deep.
So maybe you do get a Wylet Milam or a Tate Ratledge or a Gray Zabel or you name the guy in round number 2.
It makes there not being one that you're like, well, if we don't get him, we're done. That's not how this draft works.
No.
So you don't have to circle one name and say, this is the only one. This is the only one. They have to do it here or they're not going to get one. No. In this draft, you don't have to feel that way. I love Mason Graham, but I don't feel that way about him. Right? I just think he's the best of those that are available in this draft class. And if they're stuck picking at 5, I'm okay taking a player playing that position at 5. Right? Giving you some kind of interior pass rush on your defensive line where they need a lot of help. I'm good with that. If it's a player they bring in to play guard, I'm good with that.
I feel like we're agreeing on a lot. I think there's a lot of Jaguar fan consensus agreement on these issues right now at the moment. And it's just funny listening to you because we're saying it very emphatically, right? And over the years, people will call up and go, "Why are you so mad about this? Why are you?" It's not. I'm
not mad.
We're just like, hey, this is just the conversation.
Yeah, I'm not mad. I'm not even mad at how passionate you may feel about drafting one of these guys. That's fine.
Right. And everyone's going to have their favorites.
Yeah.
This one, same person who mentioned the Shador thing there said about Armand Membo, when asked about his position versatility, quote, "I'm athletic enough to play tackle, but if you put me inside, I'm ready to dominate there too." Said he's sold on Membo, especially in a trade back scenario. Again, I think that he is on that list of guys that if you're in that moving back, 5 to 7 spots range, that you've got to consider right now. And this one, OMG, I need Regina to be my grandma. See, Regina looks out for people. She's thoughtful. She's taking care of me like that. All right. We will get to this red flag issue coming up because I think there's a significant one with a player connected with the Jacksonville Jaguars, at least the hopes and desires of some fans landing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We say connected. There's a lot of loose connections that are made right now. So we'll do that straight ahead when we come out of the break here. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL.
Big moment.
Play-by-play is full of plot twists.
Did that just happen?
And high-octane drama.
And this game is tied.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, Rural Golf Village, and the beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
Clean air, cool air, both are extremely important. Trust Florida Home AC to deliver on both with their Remy Halo, the next generation of air quality technology. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC and breathe clean and cool air.
Jaguars Today. You're settled into a Dream Finders Homes Monday.
What is the busiest airport in the world?
Southern Oak Insurance is proud to continue offering coverage statewide. Financial stability makes Southern Oak Insurance a wise choice for your homeowner's insurance needs. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport is the busiest airport in the world, serving over 100 million passengers.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Rev up the offseason with AA Automotive. Let's go. Big names, bold moves, and breaking news.
That's a beautiful thing.
Follow the free agency frenzy. Built by Superior Fence and Rail and Roland Reach Plumbing on 1010XL.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. How would you describe the typical engagement ring customer that comes in your store?
Frank, at Underwoods, we often see customers who've shopped around and are totally confused about how to select a diamond. Now, they're looking for somebody qualified who'll tell them the truth and they can trust. They've heard about certification on diamonds, wholesale diamonds, internet diamonds, deals that a friend of a friend can get them, and the prices will range from unbelievably low to unbelievably high. One of the reasons for the confusion is if you look at the factors of grading a diamond, after you know the carat weight, there are 11 grades for cut, 21 grades for color, 11 grades for clarity, so you got 2,541 different possibilities, each with a different price. That's where Underwoods helps straighten out the confusion, because we have the American Gem Society credential professionals that'll guide a customer the right diamond for them, one she'll be happy with for the rest of her life.
Underwoods, where customers are served with quality and respect. In San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
At the Players, we are proud to support the Players Champions First Generation Scholarship Fund at UNF. Established to provide college scholarships to students who are the first in their families to attend college. It's just 8 days until the Players.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, one here, a couple on the text line. Somebody just stumping for Travis Hunter. Sure. There are going to be a lot of people who would stump for him if he makes it to 5.
Yeah.
Right? Chances are he won't be there. But their point was we watched what a first-hand elite secondary did for us in 2017. Yes, you also had a phenomenal pass rush.
Yeah, they fed each other.
They called it Saxonville for a reason. So, yes. And who's to say the Jags would even look at Travis Hunter primarily as a corner as compared to a wide receiver?
We do not know. Yeah.
We don't know. But anyway, look, nobody's saying it's crazy to covet Travis Hunter. It is an interesting scenario, though, as to what he's going to be.
We've done this. I've never wavered on this. He is the top of my wish list for the Jaguars at 5. I have basically zero expectations that he'll be there when the Jags are picking at 5, but he would be the easiest card to walk to the podium.
I would want him to play wide receiver, personally. Mm-hmm. If it were only one or the other. That's me, personally.
I'd probably lean corner,
Do you?
personally, but that's more because of the needs on the football team. That might be so colored by that.
Some of it is, I think it's easier this offseason to fill corner. There's not as many enticing wide receiver options the way free agency is shaping up and the draft itself. Speaking of wide receiver options, one of those guys is Ted McMillan, right?
Yes,
the wide receiver out of Arizona. And is it Arizona State? Arizona, yes. I had it right. For some reason, I go back in my head on that with him. No, I don't care. Like, Shedeur Sanders didn't throw at the combine. I don't care. You're going to have a pro day. You're going to do that as well. I'm not saying that straight line 40-yard dash speed is the only prerequisite to being a good wide receiver in the National Football League. But McMillan, it was announced, is not going to run the 40 at the combine or at his pro day. Woo! I mean, I can't do it at 5. I'm sorry. Like, how do I know he's not the next big Mike Williams? Remember, Mike Williams dominated college football. Size guy. Nobody could handle him at USC. Couldn't run. Right? It's like a 4'8" guy.
Yeah, it's hard for me to know how much this may have to do with all the way that they can measure players on field now. Do I have to run a 40? Y'all know how fast I am, right? When I'm playing. And if he's going to point to that kind of thing, which I don't think would be unfair, he would just be basically the first player to do it, to this kind of degree.
Well, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't do it last year either.
But he was
considered a different level of prospect.
Right, like that kind of thing. So part of me thinks that may be feeding into this a little bit, but I'm with you. Like, it is a very typical red flag, right, in the draft process when a player says, I'm not going to do something as simple as run a 40.
Even in the perfect conditions of your pro day, have it set up any way you like. And, I just like that's the thing. Yes, you can put the tape on and measure these guys, and you should. And and it shouldn't just come down to your 40 time, but it just feels like he's hiding what he knows is going to be a bad number.
It's hard not to see it that way.
I almost feel like he's probably doing the right thing, Tone, because if you put 4.7 on McMillan, is he going in the top 5? Is he going in the top 10 at like a 4.75 40 for any receiver out there?
Probably not.
Who's the Texas receiver?
Matthew Golden.
Matthew Golden just ran 4.29, right?
Talk about a guy rocketing up boards.
Exactly. And now we say rocketing up boards. We use these expressions that doesn't mean that teams are all of a sudden just, ran this great 40, I'm jumping him up 40 spots. It's more a reflection of what the media and the pundits pick up on and how the board shift. Maybe teams already felt like Golden looked like that kind of player, but there is something to him putting that number up in the same environment as every other player at his position that's willing to run, and you can compare apples to apples in that scenario. Okay, you ran in Indy, I ran in Indy. What did you do? Here's what I did. And I saw this weekend, Matthew Golden is going to be number 1 receiver on some teams' boards. So I'm not saying it's always the right thing, but don't think that NFL teams, don't think that Trent Baalke's the only one who values arm length in, defensive and offensive linemen.
When Golden is going out there and running the way he did and working out the way he did, and you're Ted McMillan and you've been talked about as maybe the first receiver coming off the board and you say, I'm not going to run. It's what? Why?
Right, and because you're not Marvin Harrison Jr. Most people say there's not a receiver in this class. Take Travis Hunter out of the conversation because some people are going to grade him as a receiver. Tony Pauline said that the majority of teams he talked to are grading him as a corner.
Yeah,
and he said he thinks it's crazy, but that's his opinion. And the NFL has a lot of people they pay a lot of money to for their opinions on this subject that work for the team. So let's remove him. Everything I've heard is that none of these guys would have went among the top 4 receivers last year.
Right.
Like Odunze didn't have the huge
there's going to be 4 or 5 of them in the first round this year, but none of them would have been among the top 4 last year.
And so where did the Jags get Brian Thomas Jr.? And you consider all these guys would have been, at best, end of the first round type talent. So if you're not talking about a unicorn special guy, I mean, McMillan's a good player. The numbers back that up. I'm not arguing that. I'm sure he'll have I say I'm sure. He'll probably have a pretty good NFL career. I don't know if I can. I feel like you're ducking something, man. I mean, again, you should put yourself in position to get drafted as high as possible. So if that methodology is not working out at all, if you think that's what works for you, God bless, man. That's up to you, right? I mean, it's your career. You're the only one who has to live with that. But at his size, Tone, if he were to go out there and run a 4.55, people would be like, oh, yeah.
That's exactly what you would want from him.
That's plenty.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't need to run 4.3. He doesn't need to be 4.4. He's 6'5", 212 pounds.
No, you look it up. Like the kind of assumption being made about Ted McMillan is he runs a 4.5. Like that's kind of the assumption that's being made.
4.55, 4.59, whatever.
Yeah. And so if he were to go out and run in that kind of range, everyone would be like, good.
Maybe he changes his mind, right? Because guys can change their mind. But as of now, that concerns me, man. I mean, that to me seems like a guy who thinks he's not going to put up anything close to that number. And don't think, if he went out there at the combine and ran a 4.79, right? And again, we're talking about tenths of a second here. But don't think for a second
that stuff matters.
That we wouldn't have article after article written about, well, wait a minute, maybe this group needs to be reevaluated. Maybe Golden or Ibuka or one of these other guys need to be talked about more frequently as the top wide receiver, Luther Burden or whomever that happens to be. But I don't, man. I mean, look, again, I'm going to give the Jaguars brass, and when I say brass, the whole brain trust now, the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be holding my breath that they do take McMillan at 5, that it works out. And maybe, you know what? They see that film, they pop that film in, and they're like, that's really all we need to know. Because we've seen plenty of mocks where he goes to New England at 4, right? Where he's not even available to the Jags. So maybe people will react differently in NFL circles to this. But I saw that, man, and I was like, you know, not if I. let's hope the Jags don't pick in the top 10 for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And if this is like your last shot, that's got to be your mindset.
Let's hope that the Jags get to a point where in this draft process they're going, yeah, Ted, don't run. Keep falling. Keep falling.
Right, and then let's trade back to 10 and grab him at 10.
Right, like you're picking 28. Can we get him at 28?
I'd feel a lot better if they took him at getting paid to do it. Even if they moved back to 7 and took him and got it. You said the value chart basically to move back to 9 where the Saints are is the Saints have 2 third-round picks, and that would be
both of those,
the difference. So, would I go back to 9 for the addition of 2 more third-round picks in a heartbeat?
Talk about what a round that would be.
Right? I mean, right? We dominate. We got
that late
4
Friday
picks
night,
in the
man.
third round. Oh my gosh! And the Saints' third rounder is not going to be chopped liver. At least they're the one that they earned. As far as that goes. So, again, I'm not saying Ted McMillan should be completely off the Jags board. I'm just saying it's eyebrow-raising to me that it stands out.
If he had gone out and run what Mike Evans ran, which was mid-4.5s, then all the comparisons would only go skyrocketing,
Absolutely.
right? If he put up that kind of number, it'd be like, yeah, we talked about him being Mike Evans. Look, he is Mike Evans. Right, like that's what people would be saying. But him saying, no, I'm not going to run here, I'm not going to run there, has everyone going, what, why?
And again, it's not like he can't have a fantastic NFL career. I'm talking, again, we're sitting here, top 5 pick.
The process is the process.
It's a top 5 pick. And even in a weaker draft, a top 5 pick where at least one quarterback's coming off, so it's really a top 4 pick about the positions that you're interested in, investing in. Boy, you better have the courage of your convictions if you go that direction based on what we know at this moment. And that's all we are at is at this particular moment.
Maybe the Jags already told him he's going at 5.
Maybe they did. Don't run. Don't run. That's your floor. Yeah. 5's the floor for you. Because imagine if he went and he's like, nah, it's all right. I'm going to go out there. And he goes, 4.81. You can say all you want about Anquan Bolden. Anquan Bolden didn't go in the top 5.
No,
You know? So, again. All right, today's question of the day. Should the Jaguars have been willing to give up more than the 5th-round pick that Washington gave up to trade for wide receiver Deebo Samuel? Your option today, and this is, honestly, the results are hilarious to me because we talked about this scenario. People, and I saw so many polls and discussions online about if San Fran offered you Deebo in the 12, would you take it for the 5? And I would say it was a 50-50 split. Not everybody, but plenty of people were on board with that. Now I'm to believe that 87% of you say, I don't want Deebo under any circumstances. You could have, your 5th-round pick, the Jags' 5th-round pick is worth more than Washington's. You could have had him for your 5th-round pick, right, if you wanted him. Now, the answers to this were, yes, Deebo's a stud. Yes, the Jags need help at wide receiver, and which may or not be the case depending on how you feel about things, but that's an option. No, Deebo's fallen off. No, $17.4 million cap number. Those are your options. I would vote for the latter of those 4. It's the combination of a $17.4 million cap figure when you only have roughly twice that much in salary cap space right now. Would I give up that much for a guy who I think his best years are behind him? He had that one peak season in 2021. They're only controlling him for that one more year. Is Deebo going to want to take a sweetheart extension on the back end of that? Doesn't strike me that he would. For this team, I don't think he's the piece that puts him over the top. So it's more $17.4 million on a 1-year deal. And I don't think that we're Deebo Samuel away.
No, I'm with you. I would vote the no 17.4. That's the big reason for my no in this. There is some fear for me that he's kind of hit the wall to some degree in his career, or that the wall can be seen, in Deebo's career at this point in time. So it's kind of a combination of both no's, but it is more the cap number that he has going.
And for those who brought up Christian Kirk's production versus Deebo, you're right, which is why it's being discussed. Is it worth a $24 million cap hit to have Kirk on the roster right now? And Kirk's already, worked with Trevor Lawrence. There's some other factors that go into it. So no, Deebo's fallen off is the number 1 vote getter at nearly 46%. No, and the $17 million cap hit reference for 41%. 8.5 going Jags need help at wide receiver. I would have done it. And 4.5, still think Deebo's a stud. So good for you out there. You can vote at MD_1010XL. And we now welcome in Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
All right, Mia O'Brien, good morning.
Good morning. How are we, gentlemen?
We're all right.
Yeah.
I don't know where you were on the Tet McMillan or T-Mac or whatever anybody wants to call the guy. Not knocking him, just saying, different people have different shortenings of his name. But to me, you're not going to run at the combine or at your pro day?
No.
I mean, I'm okay if you don't run at the combine.
Especially when the expectation from many around the league that I was told in Indianapolis last week is that he's going to run in the 4.7s.
See, that you put that number next to he's probably smart to do it. Because once you put that number out there, you can't get rid of it.
Correct.
You're a 4.7 guy. You're, how many
Look at
guys?
Keon Coleman.
4.7. Exactly. And he was end of the first round, right? And
ended up being the first pick of the second round.
That's right.
But at the same time, he fell to the second round because the Bills traded out with the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, Xavier Legette was the 32nd overall pick, and then 33rd was Keon Coleman. And he fell out largely because he ran in the 4.6s at the combine.
Like, that's the 4.6s. And people can talk about, hey, Anquan Bolden did this. Well, Anquan Bolden didn't go 5th overall.
I remember the reaction last year at the combine. And then he did the drill where he's turning and turning, catching. He had the best gauntlet drill
of
the entire combine. And it's like, I don't care if he runs 4.6. Because we were still having the conversation about should he be the pick at wide receiver for the Jags in the first round. This is before we knew Brian Thomas Jr. was going to be Brian Thomas Jr. It was at least still part of the discussion because of how impressive all the other stuff he did was. But the 4.6 is a 4.6.
Let me phrase it to you, gentlemen, this way, because this is the way that I've rationalized it. The comp that T-Mac has had from the jump has been Drake London. You tell me, are you taking Drake London with the 5th overall pick?
He went in the top 10.
He did.
But
are you taking him with the 5th overall pick, knowing the holes you have on this team?
If Drake London were in this draft, I might take Drake London with the 5th overall pick because I've seen him do it in the NFL. Right? I've seen him be effective when he's got a quarterback who can get him the ball. I think Drake London, if Michael Penix turns into a really good quarterback, I think we're going to see Drake London's numbers go
My question would be, who were the first 4 picks? Right?
That would factor
It changes the consideration. Like, he's not out of my consideration at 5, depending on who the first 4 were.
But that's because I gotten to see him for a few years. I don't know. Everybody, you can talk about, he dominated this. He had these numbers in college. You got to reprove it again when you get to the league. Anyway, that just jumped out at me as a warning sign. Move back to 10-ish and take him and pick up a second-round pick. Different story.
Correct.
What's coming up today?
Well, this is March, as you gentlemen know.
Yes, it
so not only will we be talking about basketball, but for many, including here in the city of Jacksonville, it can be considered one of the most wonderful times of the calendar year. So Christmas in March, that is the theme of today's Helmets and Heels show. And so we're going to give our Heeligans a question between free agency and the draft. We're allowing for you to go Christmas shopping and select 5 players. Between the draft, free agency, who is on your wish list between the two? We're giving you 5 players. Go ahead, hit us on the text line once we get popping, and let us know who those 5 players are for you. Taylor and I will reveal our 5 here momentarily.
Thought I was going to get a PS5 out of this, Tony, somehow.
No,
but apparently it's not that Christmas.
No, we've got the get in losers, we're going shopping meme that I'm
Does that
workshopping.
include like some right to veto the Bengals wanting to hold on to T?
There will, and I said it to Taylor when we were workshopping it, there certainly will be those who say T. Higgins is on their Christmas in March shopping list. And that's allowed. That is allowed. So is he on yours, Tony?
Well, if I'm allowed to veto the Bengals, then yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, he would be on
So
the
T. Higgins is on your list.
All right, have a great show.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, there you go. Helmets and Heels coming up next. That'll do it for us today. Tomorrow's Tuesday Top 5. I will tweet this out later today, but just a reminder, your top 5 offensive building blocks currently on the Jaguars roster, how you see it, factoring in contracts, age, performance on the field, future potential, whatever. That's tomorrow. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, we thank John Shipley for joining us today. I'm Mike Dempsey. We'll talk to you tomorrow from 10 to noon on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.